Now, you probably heard that people lived in biblical times. People were said to have stayed alive until, I don't know, several hundred, 300 I think. Moses or Abraham lived to 300 years old. Now, whether you believe that or not, it's a long way from where we are now. You know, to live 100 is a very, very generous age. But 300? Well, it's, again, if you consider the relativity of this universe, the relativity of time, then 100 or 300, it makes very little difference. It's like a blink to God. So it's just like a slightly longer blink, living to 300. So if you can stretch your mind to consider that, well, hang on a second, what if the human body was treated like a temple, or treated, to give a more relevant metaphor, treated like a really expensive car that we really love, that we've saved up for decades for. We've finally got this dream car and it's a masterpiece, it's a work of art, and we treat this car like it's made of gold. You know, we put the very, very best fuel in, only the best fuel and only the best oil, and we, you know, maintain it and do everything we need to keep it in the best condition. Well, apply that to your body. What if we did that to our body? And I'm not saying be obsessed about your body and worship your body. I'm talking about loving your body. Really, if you really love your body, then you'll give your body what really works for your body. You know, what keeps your body feeling strong, what keeps you feeling vital and alive, what makes you shine. Because we're influenced by everything, every little thing. And some things influence us in a huge way. You know, our diet, for example. I've been a nutritionist for 20 years, and I could make a 3-hour video about food nutrition and the importance of being very, very careful about what you put into your body. I won't go into it in great detail, but, you know, if you're really conscious and really aware of what your body really thrives on, and you put that into practice, you'll be amazed at how it affects your state of mind, how it affects your energy, how it affects your heart and your openness and your power. It's just beyond measure, and it's never ending. You know, if you purify your diet, and I know a lot of people don't like the word pure because it kind of suggests some kind of superiority or high ground of some sort, but I'm not referring to moral purity here, although that is very important in my opinion. I'm talking about putting pure things into your body and seeing what happens to this machine, because your body is a machine, it's a biological machine. Seeing what happens to this machine when you only put the best fuel in and give it exactly what it needs, and what makes the engine run just to perfection. And if you put in only the best things, which is a living experiment that I've been doing for 20 years. I've been doing this experiment for 20 years of finding out how I feel, how does my body respond, what happens in my mind, what does it do to my mood, my energy, my everything, if I only put the purest foods in my body. This has been a 20-year experiment. Now you might be interested to know what the conclusions are. I'll give you an abbreviated story, my journey. So at the age of 23, I was living in Glastonbury. I was already, you know, quite healthy. I grew up on junk food, you know, microwave meals, frozen meals, meat, crisps, biscuits, just everything, junk food. I just grew up on standard junk food. I got a bit healthier in my later teens, and then when I met my wife-to-be at the age of 21, I was already pretty healthy, you know, and then I stopped eating wheat and dairy at the age of 21. Then we moved to Glastonbury. At the age of 22, I met this very fascinating group of people. There was an aura about them. And this was 22 years ago, by the way. I'm 44 years old. So 22 years ago, I met this group of people. And they were raw foodists. And this is at a time where raw food was just something you just never, ever, ever heard about. It was really super fringe. You know, you may have heard about it in California. You may have heard about it in Glastonbury, maybe even Brighton. But it was just something it it was something very few people knew about. And I was 22 and I was like, wow, now that sounds radical and interesting. Why are they doing that? So I got into learning about raw food. I went to a seminar with a very famous raw food teacher now. He wasn't famous then. And I just went for it. And my goodness, within a few days, I felt like a different person. And all the light switches came on. And I had more energy. I felt more alive, more sensitive, more inspired. I just felt so great just by stopping eating cooked food. So I really got into this. And then sometime later, and I was reading a lot, I was reading a lot of the teachers who were talking about fields around that. Immortality was one of them. Arnold Ehret, Gabriel Cousens, and obviously David Wolfe. Then I met someone who was running detox retreats, juicing retreats, and I got involved in that. And so I started fasting, doing juice fasts at the age of 23. I started doing juice fasts and really learning about what happens when I don't eat anything. And that was hard because I loved eating. So I suddenly found I was learning so much about my body and my emotions and how food is so connected to emotions. Food is an emotional drug. Most people use food as an emotional drug. That when we're stressed, we go for the thing which calms us down. When we're angry, we'll go for the thing which makes us feel more placid, or so on and so forth. Food is really the world's biggest drug, and we use it to keep our emotions under control, to suppress our emotions. So I was fasting and finding out, wow, learning so much about my own emotions and my own fears and insecurities. It all comes to the surface when you fast. All your emotional insecurity comes to the surface. So I got more into fasting, and I started studying with this teacher who was doing fasting retreats and meditation retreats put together. So I started meditating a lot and fasting and helping to run juice retreats. And I was still only a raw foodist. I wasn't living on juice. I was just doing periodic juicing retreats, and in between I was eating raw food. And I think eventually at the age of 26 I did a 40-day fast in the Sinai, in the southern Sinai, not too far from the coast, from the border of Israel. And so I did a 40-day fast in the Sinai, which absolutely changed my life. It was the most profound spiritual cleansing that I've had, physical cleansing as well, obviously. And almost like every obstruction between me and that spiritual force, which some call God, or you call it whatever you want to, that divine magnificence, every obstruction was removed during that 40-day fast. Every obstruction dissolved, and there was nothing between me and that divine force of light. Complete communion, complete openness. And from that point onwards, that's all I wanted. I wanted to stay in communion with that force, that light. I didn't want to feel separate from it. And that's how I felt to the day. That was 26, that's like nearly 18 years ago. And so since then, so let me just go back to what I said about discipline. Jesus' disciples were called disciples because of discipline. A disciple is given disciplines. You follow the disciplines that are given to you by your teacher, and you walk the path that he is trying to encourage you to walk along through discipline. So I'd learned all these disciplines about food, about overeating, about fasting, and so I knew these disciplines were vital in keeping me open and in contact with that divine force of light, which you can call God, or divine force of love. Disciplines were essential. And to this day, I'm very disciplined about certain things, because if I'm not disciplined and I'm just like, it doesn't really matter, then obstructions start to come in between me and that force. Obstructions start to appear because of my lack of discipline. And so discipline isn't just something I do because I want to be a good boy, or I want to follow the rules. Discipline is something I want because the results from having discipline in certain areas of my life are more light. More of what my heart needs more than anything else. That indescribable, that indescribable truth, which every heart longs for. It's just everything you've been longing for. More of that. You know, that's what I'm trying to convey in this video, that you can get more of that. You can have what it is every cell of your body, every cell of your heart is longing for. You can have it, but you have to become more disciplined. You have to purify your choices, purify your influences. And there is no limit, you know. I'm not suggesting you become a breatharian. I'd recommend you eat only raw food or as little cooked food as possible, because you'll feel so much more alive, so much more vital and alert, and the light in your mind will shine so much brighter if you abandon cooked food, you know. And there's so much other food, so much nourishment you can get without cooked food. You don't need it. So I'd recommend eating as little cooked food as possible. I'd recommend eating as little carbohydrates, starchy foods as possible. I'd recommend eating an abundance of vegetables, raw vegetables, greens especially. Green smoothies, green spirulina, wheatgrass juice is something. I have wheatgrass juice pretty much every day of my life, fresh wheatgrass juice, because it's Mother Nature's greatest healer. It cleanses the cells, it floods the cells with oxygen, it revitalizes every cell in your body. When you drink it, it's your body starts to sing, because it's so good, it's so nourishing, it's so rich in what your blood needs, which is chlorophyll. So you're feeding your blood, and the stronger your blood is, the healthier your blood is, the more oxygen the blood will deliver around your body. Every cell of your body is craving oxygen. It's the number one food of every cell of your body. So when your blood is healthy, and we make our blood healthy by eating mineral-rich food, which is vegetables. If you want healthy blood, eat an abundance of vegetables, especially dark green vegetables, and spirulina and wheatgrass, because that's what makes our blood rich and alkalizes our blood and enables it to carry more oxygen. And when our cells are getting an abundance of oxygen, how do you think you're going to feel? You're going to feel alert, alive, bright, radiant. And this understanding about oxygen being the prime fuel for every cell of your body is not what we're taught. When it comes to nutrition, we're not taught about that. We're taught about vitamins and minerals and proteins and so on and so forth. But like I say, you can fast and feel amazing. I've done plenty of fasting, and really during a fast, if you're careful, if you take it easy, you don't do much. It's always best not to physically do much when you're fasting, but be in a warm place, stay warm. It's best if you can do it during the summer, so you can be outdoors. It's beautiful to fast in nature. And just be slow, take it easy, just relax, don't have anything you need to do. And wow, what an experience you'll have. You'll just feel like something new is coming into you, you're being renewed. And that's really what fasting is about. It's about being renewed. And all the things that you've been holding down, all the fears and emotions you've been trying to avoid, they come up and they dissipate, they evaporate. And what happens when they evaporate, when you let them go, you notice them and you let them go, is that something else comes in. You could call it spirit, divine spirit, God, light, love, whatever. Names don't really do it justice. It's something so much purer and so much more nourishing that you need, and it comes into you when you fast and when you purify your influences. So I would very much recommend that you try fasting, even if you can't avoid food for several days. If you can't do a water fast, then do a juice fast where you have as many juices as you want. And I don't recommend sweet juices, I recommend vegetable juices, ideally green. Drink as many vegetable juices as you want for 3 days, just vegetable juices. If you can't do that, then cut out cooked food and have a cooked food fast. So you're not eating cooked food, you're only eating raw vegetables and salads. Don't eat things like raw tahini, or don't eat things like loads of raw nuts, which is what most people do. They think, well, it's all raw, I can eat as much nuts as I want, I can eat as much dried figs as I want and dip it in raw tahini, and that's just food indulgence again, and you're not helping yourself. If you want to have a raw food fast, go for 3 days and just have raw fruits and vegetables. More vegetables, because the fruits will interfere with if you're not eating, it'll interfere with your blood sugar, and so you're best to feel more grounded with raw vegetables. Green vegetables ideally. And start learning about how you can feel, because reality is felt. Reality isn't in here. That's very two-dimensional. That's very superficial. That's like a map. Reality is not a map. Reality is the landscape. And what you feel is your reality, your emotional reality. So what you're feeling is the most powerful reality you have. And we can argue till the cows come home about, is it the ultimate reality, or is it, what's really real, This isn't a philosophical discussion. It's about you and what you have to deal with every day of your life. And you are a feeling being. And your thoughts influence your feelings. You can spend hours and hours and hours on your thoughts, but really what's going on in your body while you're thinking is all sorts of emotions. And we're not aware of how much our thoughts are influencing our emotions, but and those emotions really do things to our body that we're not aware of, which is why it's so important to come out of here and inhabit our body more, so that we can become more aware of what our body is doing, what our emotional body is doing, and what habits it's developed. We've developed so many emotional habits that we don't even realize because we're so busy thinking. So when you come more into your body, you realize, oh my goodness, I'm anxious most of the time, or oh my goodness, I'm feeling irritated, quite regularly through the day, or so on and so forth. We have to learn what's going on in our body. And then we can do something about it. And so food is kind of the most obvious influence. When it comes to how you feel, food is the most obvious influence. So if you purify your food input, I'm just going to reel off a list of things that you really, really should put in your body. And if you're going to be a true scientist and really see what can I do with my body? What can I do with my consciousness? What can I do if I really put the best things in my body, the best fuel? What happens? What happens to my mind? Then put these things in your body. Get hold of them. Do whatever you can to find them all, but put them in your body. Take out the bad stuff and put the good stuff in and see what happens. Number 1, wheatgrass juice. Do whatever you can to get fresh wheatgrass juice. Grow it at home. It's easy. Search on YouTube for how to grow fresh wheatgrass. It's so simple. And just get yourself a slow juicer, a manual juicer, which is you do by hand. It's very easy, or an electric juicer. But get wheatgrass juice in your body as much as you can, because it'll do things that nothing else can do. Number 2, sprouts. I fully recommend broccoli sprouts. They're just an amazing vitality food and anti-cancer food, but it's just a food which will just make your immune system so strong. So we have broccoli and alfalfa. We sprout broccoli and alfalfa together because broccoli is quite spicy. Put them together, 1/3 broccoli, 2/3 alfalfa. Sprout those and eat them as much as you can. And if you can't get broccoli, get mung beans or some other sprout you like. Fenugreek seeds are quite delicious, but put sprouts in your diet. Number 3, spirulina. Wow, what a food spirulina is. I've been eating it pretty much every single day of my life since I was 22, 23. It's so nourishing. It's so rich. It's 70% protein. It's so chlorophyll rich. It's so much iron. It's one of the best things for your blood, along with wheatgrass. Spirulina will ground you, nourish you. Spirulina is used in third world countries to nourish malnourished communities, because it's a cheap food to grow, and they give malnourished communities spirulina. It's also eaten in space. It's given to NASA astronauts because it's almost a complete food. It's just absolutely amazing. So you want to get spirulina into your diet every day if possible. Spirulina and chlorella. Chlorella is similar to spirulina, but it takes heavy metals out of your body. So I really recommend spirulina and chlorella, as well as sprouts and wheatgrass. What else? Well, most people have milk in their diet, cow's milk, and most people who don't like animal milk will go for rice milk or almond milk. Well, make your own milk. I've been doing this every day of my life for, well, not every day of my life, I've been doing it every day for the last 20 years, making, I've got a family, 4 children, and we make milk every morning, and it takes 1 minute. You soak seeds and nuts, but I strongly recommend hemp seeds, because hemp protein is one of the best proteins you can put in your body. You can survive on hemp protein. It also has chlorophyll. The hemp seed has chlorophyll inside it. So hemp seed milk, that's my next recommendation. Wheatgrass, sprouts, spirulina, chlorella, hemp seeds, hemp seed milk. All you have to do is you soak the seeds overnight, put in some almonds, put in some nuts, put in some sunflower seeds, any seeds and nuts you want, but I recommend hemp seeds. And you blend, in the morning you pour away the soak water, so you soak them overnight, in the morning you pour away the water, and you blend the seeds with water, and the water goes milky, so you're going to end up with this kind of pulp, thick, nutty pulp. So you blend it with a little bit of water, just enough to cover it, blend it till you've got this really thick pulp with a hand blender, and then you add more water until it's the right consistency. If you add too much water, it'll taste too watery. If you don't add enough, it'll taste too thick and creamy. So you blend it with enough water, and then you pour that through a sieve. What comes out the bottom of the sieve is your milk, your nut milk or your seed milk. You pour whatever's left in the sieve, you can just put in the compost, or you can use it as a skin scrub, which is very good, especially if you use hemp seeds. It makes the best skin body scrub in the world because they're quite sharp. Hemp seeds, they're like they scrub really well. They scrub your skin, and the protein from the seeds and nuts is so good for your skin. So, but what comes out the bottom of the sieve is the best milk in the world. You can make it with any nuts and seeds you like and make it tasty, but get hemp seeds. Use hemp seeds. The hemp protein is one of the best proteins you can put in your body, along with spirulina. Spirulina is a wonderful protein. As I said, it's 70% protein. It has all 8 amino acids. It's extremely high in B12 and iodine. So, you know, these are good proteins. In fact, they're the best proteins. Spirulina and hemp seeds. So put hemp seeds in your diet. What else can I recommend? Vegetable juices. It's very important to start your day with the most nutritious thing you can find, or the most nutritious thing you can put in your body, ideally easily digestible, like a green smoothie. I start my day generally with a vegetable juice, so that's carrots, celery, cucumber, a vegetable juice, and I blend an avocado into that vegetable juice. So it's really thick and creamy, and I add spirulina and wheatgrass juice. If I haven't got the juice, I put in wheatgrass powder. So I blend vegetable juice with an avocado. It makes it really creamy and delicious, especially if you use carrots. Really delicious, trust me, you'll love it. Blend the juice with avocado, add some spirulina and some wheatgrass powder or wheatgrass juice, anything green. And what happens when you put the most nutritious thing in your body in the morning that you can, when you start the day with the most nutritious thing, first of all, you feel good. Your conscience is clear. You're like, okay, well, I've started the day and I've done the hardest thing. I've chosen the healthiest thing possible first. So I've started the day on a really good note. So it's really important to start your day on a good note, because everything that follows from that is going to be affected by the choice you've made first thing in the morning. That's why it's so bad to look at the news when you wake up. Your mind is fresh. You look at the news, it's like, you set a tone. By looking at the news, you've set a tone in your mind. And then you have to you're trying to build back up. You've got to kind of climb out of this negativity that the news has given you. It's the same with food. If you have a sugary breakfast cereal first thing in the morning, then you've started on a bad note. Your blood sugar and your body chemistry, when that sugary cereal leaves your body, when the energy, the kind of carbohydrate and sugar energy leaves your body, you're going to be craving something. Because when sugar leaves our body or carbohydrates leave our body, we always crave something. And you won't be craving a green juice. You'll be craving something, probably something sweet or something starchy or some bread. So it's very, very important to set the tone for the day and start your day with the healthiest thing you can possibly put in your body, which is a mineral-rich vegetable juice. And trust me, you can make it really tasty. It doesn't have to be disgusting. You know, carrots, cucumber, celery, ginger. You don't need sweet things in there, but you can put a bit of fruit in there if you want, but I recommend as little fruit as possible. Helps you to be grounded. And then blend in an avocado. So good. Put in a bit of spirulina. My goodness, what a wonderful breakfast that is. And you can have that as often as you want, and you know, you will feel the benefit. It's not just about, oh, this guy on YouTube says I should do this, so I should do it. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm telling you what I do. And I'm telling you that if you do it, then the consequences of doing it regularly will be wonderful. You'll be so happy you did it. And you'll feel the benefit, and you'll want to do it more.